you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Welcome to the SLUSH podcast, the only place on the internet where we cover Dragon Ball to baby soothers and everything in between.
Okay, so basically today we're just going to go over Marvel in general as kind of a whole. I kind of want to just start with Phase 1 and talk about Phase 1, but I can't even remember what's in Phase 1, so I'm going to quickly look.
If I remember right, Phase 1 is like Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America,
Right?
Oh, okay.
and then I think you just go straight to Avengers because I think that's the only movies, because that's when like Hawkeye and Black Widow are introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all of Phase 1 right there.
Okay. So, chronologically, we're going to do this, okay?
Oh, we're taking a deep dive.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the reason I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about Marvel is because they were the top movies in the world, and now, as of right now, I mean, the Marvels just opened, and I don't know, would that be considered tanking super hard? Am I wrong? It tanked, right?
Oh, I mean, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah,
am I crazy? Like, it did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not a question of doubt. I guess it's not really fault of. I know it kind of is a fault of just Disney just trying to hammer. I guess Captain Marvel kind of just was always falling flat, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
because it was like, especially when like Captain Marvel the first movie came out, it was like the last movie before Endgame, and
I
you're like,
know.
and it's like, oh shit, we had to. Oh yeah, Captain Marvel has to be in Endgame. What are we gonna do, guys? Actually, let's make this movie based in 1980s. Remember, she's been around for a long time, guys.
It was the 90s in that one. But it doesn't even
90s.
matter. They could have based in. You're right, though. It was too late. They just stuck her in, and when she was in Endgame, it was like, did we need her?
It was just really bizarre, and
Yeah.
it just felt like they needed another strong character to go up against Thanos.
Yeah. They got.
And it also was like really weird because they put her like the little Captain Marvel sign in the after credits of Infinity War. If you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Sam Jackson's like, oh shit, and then.
Dude, I
And then
feel
the-
bad because I like Brie Larson. She's awesome in like Room and like Scott Pilgrim and even in Skull Island, the King Kong movie. That movie was way better than I thought it was gonna be.
It has one of my favorite scenes ever in a movie. Like it has my favorite death scene, I should say.
It's the one
It
with
just-
the grenade, right?
Oh
I
my
knew
god,
you were
it's
gonna say that.
glorious! It's amazing. Oh,
I
that's all I
remember.
think of. That's all I think about when I remember that movie.
That's because they were like, we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be hilarious, and people are gonna cheer when this happens. And we did. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting completely off topic here. So, Iron Man, 2008. I remember when the trailers for that came out, and before they made it, people were like, I don't know, man. How can they do a live action, you know? And then the trailer came out, and people were like, fuck, they totally did it. Like, that looks pretty fucking awesome.
I think he was definitely like the safest Marvel character to branch out on his own like that too. Not only was it like modern time in that era, it is Tony Stark as a character because he's like one of the main staples of the Avengers, anyways. And just the amount of CG that is like in that time, it was impeccable because they can really emulate how like his Iron Man suit works
Yeah,
out.
it looks
And
so real.
It
Even
looks so.
even
like,
watching it now, it looks amazing still.
Yeah, it definitely is aged super well
Yeah.
in the Iron Man aspect of that era.
And Jeff Bridges is an amazing villain. Like, I'm always used to him being like the dude or like Kevin Flynn from Tron. So when I saw this, he was an amazing bad guy. Like, I forget what the line is, but he's basically like, Tony Stark built this in a cave. And he did it so aggressively. I was like, damn, Jeff Bridges, you're scary.
That is a pretty memorable line out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
an amazing movie. And, I guess they owe it all to that one movie, right? Like, if that didn't work, then
It was They actually had like had a lot of going against it at the time too, because that's when the writer strike was happening, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Jesus.
because that's they did something that's like unheard of nowadays. Where I think it was Robert Downey and the director, they took it upon themselves to write without the writers and continue with the movie. And
Weird.
now you can't do that nowadays. Obviously, that's why in that era they had the big writer strike. Uh, Kind of weird how we're talking about like the end of the recent writer strike compared to the last one.
I know. I didn't
Yeah,
even think of that. I remember that though. Yeah, it sucks so much. Good lord. But yeah, okay, so that's really weird they did it that way. And I know that Industrial Light and Magic came in and they did the Iron Man suit. That was kind of one of the last big movies like that where Marvel combined a lot of practical suit stuff with CGI, right? Because now, like when you see Spider-Man, they have like all the dots all over him. He doesn't even have the costume on half the time. It sucks. I don't know. But
it's
Robert,
really
he had a whole
yeah.
suit, right? Like Stan Winston's Creature Shop built his Iron Man suit, which was
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
yeah, pretty sure they had his suit for Avengers, Iron Man Avengers, and I think it was Iron Man 2. They also had it still. I don't think Iron Man 3 had that though.
There's a lot of parts of Iron Man 2 where they just have like pieces on and then there's a bunch of dots. Because I saw a behind the scenes thing where, remember him and Rhodey at the end of the movie, they're in like that big sphere thing and they're fighting
Oh
Whiplash. And
yeah,
there's
yeah,
like
yeah.
this one shot going around them. And yeah, a lot of their suits are CG'd, but yeah, 2008, that's crazy. Jesus.
Yeah, and it followed up by the least memorable Marvel movie, The Incredible Hulk, with
Yeah. Edward Norton.
Edward Norton.
It's
It
so
does
sad.
it does have a similar scene to just what we're talking about, Kong Skull Island, or it has another one of my favorite scenes that just has such a goofy. Well, he doesn't die, as we know now.
But he
Thank.
should have. He kicked him like
Yeah,
against a tree in the chest. Doesn't even make sense.
it doesn't make he like full force kicked by the
Yeah.
Hulk into the tree. Like you can't fool me, man. He's dead.
Yeah.
So,
And it's Tim Roth too, and it's like, all right, I guess he's really tough. I don't know.
that's
Um,
also like the only thing I really remember from that movie.
yeah, I mean, I remember thinking, man, Edward Norton is really skinny. He looks like he's going to die in this movie.
Because every time I think of that like Hulk movie, I think of the one that came out like 8 years prior, for like 6 years prior. The other one.
Oh, Hulk. Ang Lee did that one.
Yeah, I kind of keep blending them two together, but they're still the exact same. I mean, I don't know what like I like to expect because they are the same character, but
Truthfully, I don't even remember that movie at all.
they're the same story. So it's like you get cookie
But there's
crumbles.
Hulk dogs in it. I do remember that. He fights Hulk dogs.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
my
Nick
god.
Nolte is like the bad guy in it or something. I don't know. It's awful. I mean, it's not awful, but compared to everything else that's come out, like Mark Ruffalo is good. Nah, I think is the Hulk. Um, I thought here's a weird thing. I'm just looking at the chronological list. So it goes Iron Man, then the Incredible Hulk. Iron Man 2 was the third one chronologically. Isn't that crazy? I didn't even realize that.
That's bizarre. Is
Yeah.
it? Because that came out after Avengers. Am I crazy for thinking
No.
that?
Iron Man 2
Wow.
came out in on May 7th, 2010, which is I didn't
Oh, that's
even
just
realize.
literally the same year. That's
Yeah.
why. Yeah, I was pretty sure Avengers came out in 2010.
It didn't.
Really?
No, that came out in 2012. I know, this is messing me all up because there's so many movies now. So, okay, get
Oh,
this. So it's Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, which gets, man, people, I don't know. I don't know about you. I like Iron Man 2. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was cool. I thought it was weird they changed actors um,
they did
for,
that quite a lot in that
well,
era.
yeah. I just really like the original actor who played uh
Rhodey?
yeah, War Machine. He was so awesome. You ever see Hustle and Flow? Terrence Stamp, I think it's his name.
No, no,
Oh,
I have not.
he's a wicked actor. I just thought the new guy they got, what's his name, Don Cheadle. I don't know. He just didn't strike me as War Machine. He just seemed like he should be in a Disney movie. I guess it is a
I
Disney movie now, but
Yeah, I honestly Don Cheadle, I just seen him in so many serious roles where it
yeah.
was really hard for me to really like not see him as serious and see him as be like the kind of the serious goofball of Iron Man.
Yeah.
I was like, I just seen you. What was that movie, Hotel? That's based in
Hotel Rwanda?
yeah, that
Oh,
movie is
man.
intense, and that was like the last movie I saw before he went into
Dude,
rodeo.
that's the same as me. And as soon as they cast him in it, I was like, oh. I mean, he's a great actor, but I just don't see him in a Marvel movie.
It's like, damn, like he's taking a real step down from like serious tones here. But I mean, I didn't hate him, and I grew to like him over time. But
Same. And now I hear that it's not even him, but we'll get back to that
yeah,
at the
yeah.
very end because I haven't seen, what's it called?
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I haven't even seen that.
I haven't either, so we're whatever.
Hey, we'll do a podcast on that. That'll be
Like,
episode 21 or something.
yeah, and I guess
Um,
that brings us to like Captain America and Thor.
Yeah.
Captain America, I think, is probably like the best early movies other than like Avengers. I think that movie's great, like just thematically and how it even gets itself set up and the whole huge twist at the end. I mean, technically, everyone saw the twist with him being like frozen in time, but it was just a cool way of just seeing his origin story.
You
brought
kind
to
of
life.
forget that he's gonna be frozen. Like, I remember seeing the previews and thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't know, man." Chris Evans, he was already the Human Torch in Fantastic Four. This is gonna get confusing. Uh, but I like that they started it off with him just having the costume and being kind of like fake Captain America, and then he had to basically earn the role. And I thought that was really cool. And you saw his armor change, like from his shitty costume for performing into like actual World War II fatigues. Like, I thought his costume was fucking wicked too.
Yeah, I think that was like one of his best costumes he's had in general,
Yeah.
and the way they like how brought it up with Bucky and his relationship and how they like even just going through like the trenches of like him going from stage show like theatrical like Captain America to war hero like charging in forward Captain America. It was such a cool transition, and I just kind of the only real gripe in the movie I really had was Red Skull. I really wish they did a lot more with him than they did, but
I
he
know.
didn't. He
Dude,
kind of just died out and then killed himself. Really.
I heard that they didn't even ask Hugo Weaving to play him in the Avengers movie. Like, that's a different actor. When you,
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's not even him. It's just a different voice.
what a kick in the face. It's like, come on.
Spoilers, like 10 years in the making.
Oh, sorry, my
Yeah.
bad. That's Phase 92. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and Thor? I don't really give a shit about the first Thor, I'm not gonna lie.
The only thing that I remember about Thor, since I just know he becomes unworthy and his hammer gets stuck on Earth. And
Yeah.
he has he throws like a hissy fit through a good part of the movie that he can't lift the hammer anymore. And
Yeah.
trying to relearn how to become worthy. And this is back when like they didn't know how blonde they wanted to make Chris Hemsworth. But he's
Yeah.
he's like super blonde in the movie.
Dude,
like,
his
it's like,
eyebrows are blonder than mine. Like,
it looks like everything's bleached on this man. You're like, this is like an uncomfortable amount. Like, you do
Yeah.
not look natural at all as
his
blonde.
beard is bleached, his eyebrows are bleached. It was
Oh my
weird.
god. It was really weird.
I mean, he looks like Thor. Like, I did not think he looked like Thor. Like the same as Chris Evans looked like Captain America. Like, they looked like the parts, but I don't know, man. I feel like I've seen that type of movie so many times where, like, in the 80s, like, even when they made the Masters of the Universe movie, people wanted to see a He-Man. Like, Henry would disagree because he loves Masters of the Universe. And it's a great movie, don't get me wrong. But, he gets stuck in the 80s instead of being in Eternia fighting Skeletor and stuff. So, or like
Oh
Star
my
Trek
God.
4, instead of it being an adventure in space, they're on Earth in the 80s. And you're kind of like, I've seen this. Thor's stuck in, 2010, and he's got to deal with 2010 stuff. Like Natalie
Oh
Portman. Uh,
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. He was like Thor in that one. I thought was like the most. It kind of felt like like he didn't look bad as Thor. It was just like it looked like the most like parody version of Thor
yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
It looked like he was cosplaying as Thor in a Thor movie. I
You're
didn't know
right.
I didn't know how to feel about it at first. And I was like Chris Hemsworth. This is what they're going with.
Yeah, that movie
And then
was weird.
That's when they really like, and obviously when he comes back in Avengers, he looks so much better. It actually looks a lot much more natural.
He barely even has a beard in the first Avengers movie. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like he
it's
looks way
bizarre.
better in it. Um, yeah. So basically, and then that. So
Is that the
it's
next? That's the next one, right? Am I
kind
correct?
of. It's a weird order. So it's Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then the Avengers. And honestly, I still love the first Avengers movie. That movie is fucking awesome.
The Avengers, like technically, like is the like the how is the patient zero of Marvel at this era,
Patient
because
Zero.
everything copies what Avengers did over and over again. That it makes kind of blend of what Avengers did. But since Avengers did it first, it was like it can't be faulted for being like what it was. You know, I just felt like all the other movies coming forward tried to really take all the quips and everything they were doing from the first movie, and just became really saturated in how like Marvel movies became.
Yeah. Well, it was weird because I remember when they first announced who was directing it. What's his name again? He's like blacklisted now. He
Oh my
did Buffy
God,
the Vampire Slayer.
Joss
Joss
Whedon, right?
Whedon. Yeah. I remember when they first announced him doing it, I was like, okay, that's perfect because on Buffy, they have tons of characters that they're juggling. And I grew up watching Buffy when I was in high school back in the 90s. And, you don't see many movies where they're that big, where they have that many big characters all together acting in scenes. So I thought, hey, like he probably could do it actually. And Serenity and Firefly are apparently, amazing shows. I've never seen them, but I know there's a massive cult following. There's only one season of Firefly, but apparently he's a huge, horrible asshole. So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
give him any more praise than that. But
Al- Also in that movie, they also because Agents of Shield was also a show at the time, and
oh,
they bridged Agent Coulson, one of the main characters in Avengers. They also killed him off in that movie.
Agent of Shields was happening at the same time they did Avengers.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
I've
sure
never seen it.
because they're, like I think like Agent Coulson takes a leave because well he gets killed by
Oh, right,
Loki
right.
in Avengers, and then I think he came back in the show. I have never watched much of it myself. I know like Ghost Rider and a bunch of others
It looks
other.
so shitty. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do
Yeah,
it.
I tried. Then I was like, I'm just gonna stick to the movies, man.
Yeah, I don't think I could deal with the quality dip. Like maybe if they made them now with the budget of the Disney Plus shows, it would be good. But
Yeah,
no.
I think because it felt like a CW show, you know,
Yeah.
like oh, it just didn't feel right. And
Mm.
also like what was it? What's her name? Oh my God, she's pretty much like played like Sam Jackson's assistant through like most of the Avengers
Shh.
movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about. She's
Yeah,
Canadian. I don't know her name though.
yeah, because I remember seeing her like I was watching How I Met Your Mother, and she plays one of the main girls in like How I Met Your Mother. Then I was like, oh wait a minute, that's Robin. I was like, what is that? What is
She's
going on here?
undercover.
Undercovered. I never seen her in such a serious role, and I was like, I can't take her serious.
She was great too. I love her in Avengers. She's awesome.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
think that I always remember Avengers as a wicked like a that was just such a great blockbuster movie. Like I don't really see blockbuster movies like that anymore. Like I don't think they happen. There's no like big popcorn live action crazy movie. I haven't seen one since probably Endgame, I guess, to be honest, or Infinity War, one of those. Or
I
Spider-Man, like the one where they did the multiverse stuff. That was cool.
I think that was the last real big one, if I'm being honest, because I think like because that really ended in the 2010s era of like movie. Because
Mm.
there's like not just like Avengers that was popping off. There was like a bunch of other movies. Like Mad Max made a comeback.
Oh my God, that
Uh,
movie was so good.
that movie is super great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of movies popping off up then that would become blockbusters. But obviously, because of the pandemic and everything like that,
Yeah.
everything theaters took a huge hit, and they were kind of coming back up, but they're slowly coming back down again. I it's
Things are
because
weird, man. Like Barbie and Oppenheimer made like a ton of money, but it, I don't know what's going on exactly because Oppenheimer, I love Christopher Nolan's movies. They're great, but I just didn't think Oppenheimer was going to make like $1 billion. It's about like the nuclear bomb they built.
I think memes and social media really like held it up.
Yeah, there's just it's so strange. Things have just changed so much now. Like all the Marvel movies are basically failing now, and they were like the top. I mean, isn't Avengers Endgame like the highest grossing movie of all time?
I think it's second. Avatar is still
Oh,
number
for
one, right?
God's sakes.
Avatar is so cheating because in 2010 they were like in the theaters for like a year and a half, and I get it because it was like the first time like 3D being reinvented, and that's why they had it in theaters. And that's why it grossed so much money because everyone had to go see what new 3D was.
Yeah.
Like I get it, Avatar. You like James Cameron. Congratulations. But then obviously like if you don't watch the movie without 3D, it's just not as entertaining.
I
The
know.
movie.
I
Oh my
tried to
god.
explain this to Cora, but she still loves it. She was like, she had never seen it in 3D, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
It,
Why do you like
my
the movie?"
my family is like so obsessed with Avatar, not only because like the blue people and how they explore the thing, because the main character's name is Jake Sully.
Oh yeah.
Sully, he wore blue. He's a blue person. It just added on to the whole stigma of the name, and and
I
that's why
mean,
we. Every
I
time that like the CD scratched or got lost, she bought a new DVD and a new Blu-ray version of the movie. It just wouldn't leave the house at all.
dude, I get it too. Like, I mean, I'm just, it's the same as like the Hunger Games, for example. People who love the Hunger Games, they love the Hunger Games. I've seen it. They're cool. They're a lot better than I thought they would be, but I do not love the Hunger Games. I have not seen them more than once, you know? And the same as Avatar. Like, when I saw that in 3D, yeah, it was fucking crazy. I remember my mind was blown at how good it looked. But after that, I mean, not to completely sidetrack this, but where the hell are all the 3D movies now? Like, even Avatar 2, I don't know if I even saw that in 3D, did I? I can't remember. I probably did, but it kind of just does seem like a gimmick. Like I don't
I
know.
didn't see it in 3D either. I My mom kept persisting that I watch because Avatar came back after so long. Like, oh my God, Sully, you got to watch it. I didn't bother. Just because I got so tired of seeing Avatar in general, because I thought I'd leave my house after 12
You
years.
got totally
I was,
avatared.
I was Avatared out, and I thought like I had my era done with it. But then James Cameron's like, I have like five more in the
Oh
fucking
my god. How
I'm like,
can
are
he
you?
do that? How can he possibly? Why?
Yeah.
The man he made Aliens. Why can't he just do another Aliens movie? For the love of
There
God.
is aliens. They are aliens in Avatar. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
Or another Terminator. Instead, we get this shit like Dark Fate. That movie sucked so much. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a great movie. It's a direct sequel to T2." Everybody was so excited, and then, anyways, I completely. What were we talking about?
So I think that's
Marvel.
end of phase one, right? It ends with Avengers,
Yeah.
if I
Okay.
remember
Hold on.
right.
Let me check my phone here. So that's in 2012, May 4th, which is interesting because now that's the Star Wars Day. The May the 4th be with you. So yeah. So overall, Phase One, super promising, ended with the Wicked Avengers movie. Everything was going awesome. It felt like for Marvel, you know.
Yeah, it really like it was like it took a little bit, kind of would dwindle, but like Thor, but then really found its footing, and then like everyone's like, wow, now I can't wait to see what like
Yeah,
going forward. It's such an optimistic view of like the Marvel Disney era.
it was great. Everything was going great.
What?
And now we'll get to Phase Two. I'm just gonna crack open my list in chronological order for fun, because I was doing the same thing. I'm also surprised I don't remember some of these dates. So Iron Man 3 opened Phase 2 in 2013, a year after
Really?
Avengers. Yeah.
Wow, I did
Mm,
not remember that at all.
mm. What are your thoughts on Iron Man 3?
I don't think it's a bad film,
Mhm.
but I do hate how they ended it and how they handled the main
Oh,
villain.
Pepper Potts with her superpowers?
I don't give a shit about. I kind
Did
of
they
care. And
revisit that? How did she lose her superpowers? I can't remember.
as far as I tell, she never used her powers again because that's as far as it goes. Because even in like Endgame, she's like in an
Uh,
Iron Man suit. In Civil War, she's not
oh
in the movie.
yeah.
Like she does
Right.
not use those powers again at all. It just
Copy.
it just Iron Man 3 up. I did obviously now coming back off the back of Avengers. Everyone's
Yeah.
super hyped for a new Iron Man movie after Iron
Dude,
Man 1
was
and 2.
so hyped. And when I found out Shane Black was doing it, It's like, man, he wrote Predator, like the first Predator, and I think he directed. I could be wrong. I thought he directed the Monster Squad. Like
Oh wow.
yeah, like he knows what he's doing. He's a filmmaker. So I was stoked. Like a lot of people love Iron Man 3. Like they love it. I don't like Iron Man 3 at all. I hate it. I hate
I
it.
you know what I didn't really like it was mostly the build up when you the plot twist the main villain made me instantly tap out because I thought they were building up Mandarin so cool and like
100%.
and then they just flipped the bed that the main guy we're chasing after is an actor the whole time
I
and it
know.
turns out the main villain is just a guy who was like bullied a lot and then got
Ugh,
suckered by Tony Stark.
I
I was
know.
like, how do you fumble the bag? Like I was so sold up until this point,
That
and
was
then the whole
that was my first time I was like, man, Marvel really fucked up. Like that was not an excusable thing that they did.
No, I was like, damn, that just took the wind out of my sails.
Elon
And it
Musk
just
is in that movie.
real oh yeah, oh my god, he
Yeah,
is.
it's so ridiculous.
Because it's like at the dinner scene, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's like,
oh
Tony, I've got something to talk to you, and he's like, I'll get back to you, Elon. That was back when
my,
people liked Elon Musk before he was like saying horrible things and doing horrible things. Uh,
but
but yeah,
yeah, and then in later on in the movie, oh, the whole movie is built around like Tony trying to let go of his suits and becoming more involved in his like social life and like his family life.
yeah, because we all want to see that movie.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so he's trying to get better letting go. And at the end of the movie, after he saves Pepper and she has her powers, whatever, he gets all the suits to come in, save the day, beat up all the henchmen, beat up Guy Pearce, whatever. And then he's like, you know what? Just for you, I'm gonna blow up all the suits. And they have a romantic kiss. All the suits blow up. Iron Man 3 ends. And then, spoiler alert, he doesn't blow them all up because he comes back in like Civil War and
I know.
Avengers. That whole movie meant nothing at the end. Nothing. I'm
It's
like,
it's weird because I remember watching it, and one of the things I really liked about Iron Man 1 and 2 is how they showed him getting in and out of the suits. Like it was almost like a plot point because he had to be in a facility that he made to get the suit to go on him. Or in Iron Man 2, for the first time when he's in the Formula 1 race, he
yes,
has the briefcase. That's my favorite
yeah.
Iron Man suit. Like that thing is fucking awesome. And now in Iron Man 3, there's just pieces flying around everywhere from wherever in the country, and they're just like sticking on you. And I don't know, I don't like that. I like all the machines that are assembling this suit of armor around him, and it just seems like so much more believable that he could go toe to toe with another superhero or a super villain and fight them, because it seems so powerful while he's putting it on. But in Iron Man 3, it was like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
getting completely off topic here. Iron Man 3 is what opened it. The next
What a
one, in months later in 2013, was Thor: The Dark World. Um, yeah,
no.
yeah.
You know what? There's only like one good scene in this movie, and it's like Tom Hiddleston was been killing it as Loki, and that was like the only
Yes,
real good parts to this movie.
true.
And the way they set up like how they're gonna like fight the Reality Stone, Infinity Stones, whoa, because that's what the main villain was using.
Mm,
They go through all these different realms, and then they end on a fight on Earth. Are you kidding me? Like, like, are you serious right now? Is that what we're really gonna
yeah.
end it on?
Dude, they got Doctor Who to play an elf. It was weird.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was so
I
bizarre.
always forget it was him, and it's too bad because I think his name is Chris Eccleston. He was amazing in 28 Days Later. He's so good and spooky in that. But yeah, Thor: The Dark World seems like a massive misstep from Marvel. So things were looking a little weird.
Yeah, the two movies are bad. Iron Man was almost good.
Yeah,
The
it's true.
Thor: Dark World was I think it was just stumbled its whole way through in the whole movie.
Yeah, and Natalie Portman didn't come back forever after that movie.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even remember what she did in the movie. That's how much
She
I.
got the thing in her that the stone liquid.
Oh, yeah,
Because
that's why.
then,
Oh,
yeah, Rocket goes back to get it from her in one of the Avengers movies. Anyways,
that's only
completely.
that's like the only reason I remember that because that's what's. Yeah, yeah.
So sorry, Natalie Portman. So the good news is, months after this is 2014, we get Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier, which honestly is easily one of the best Marvel movies, I think.
Honestly, even if you take Captain America, like the name out of it, that's a good movie.
Yeah,
Like, that's how much I really like that movie. It was
yeah.
just such a good, like, spy thriller esque that they decided to go with Captain America. Oh, it was so spicy.
They really, it's crazy because even though he's a super soldier and he's doing crazy super soldier shit, the way that they did it, and he has his stealth costume for most of the movie, it really grounded the whole thing and made Captain America so much cooler. And all the fight scenes were wicked where he fought the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier was awesome. Like,
Yeah, yeah, he was pretty wicked. He was like the only guy going toe to toe with him for a good
yeah.
while there.
Oh, it was a great movie. I honestly loved that movie. I've never ever felt any differently about it. And then after that, in August, so a couple months later, we get Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which was another amazing movie.
Yeah, that was like Marvel Suicide Squad,
Yeah,
technically. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that movie was
I
great.
I think this is a good pillar of where I think Marvel took the wrong message from Guardians of the Galaxy and implemented it in all the characters.
I agree. Yeah.
Because after Guardians of the Galaxy, every character had to be quippy because in Guardians of the Galaxy, every character is quippy. And it's like, oh, that's why it was so successful. And they implemented that so many times over afterwards.
Oh man. Yeah, they really tried, didn't they? And it just kind of, I mean, we'll get to the other Guardians, but like I couldn't believe that was even a Marvel movie because it didn't even fit in with any of the other MCU movies. It was just like they had to somehow stick in stuff with the Infinity Stones and space and Thanos and
Thanos shows up in it, yeah.
yeah, and like it worked so well and nobody knew who Chris Pratt was really, and he was fucking awesome in that movie. This is back when everybody loved Chris Pratt. Now he's just kind of annoying and in everything.
He's he's Mario and Garfield.
Oh
Leave
my
him
god,
alone.
I can't believe he's Garfield too. That should be illegal. Bill
I really
Murray is
hope.
Garfield, okay? That's it. Full stop.
Do you actually like those Bill Murray movies,
Never
though?
seen them.
That's what I thought.
I just know that the guy who voices Garfield from the original cartoon also voiced Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters cartoon. So in my mind, Bill Murray is him. And then when they actually cast him as him in the live action, my mind was blown.
It all connects. It all
Yeah,
connects.
the multiverse became real. Okay, so after that we got wow, it was like a year later when we got another Marvel movie. So flash forward a year later in May. We're still in phase 2 by the way. We got Avengers 2: Age of Ultron, which I don't know. Like I know it gets a bad rap. I thought it was fine. Yeah, I didn't really care.
Age of Ultron was really interesting because I have mixed feelings on it as well. Because it kind of felt like they just wanted to make an Avengers movie because it's been so long. They're like, hey, um, why don't we put them back together again? Maybe we'll lighten in the bottle again, you know? And they're like, but obviously now there's only like 2 movies or 3 movies into this phase.
Well,
Uh,
it doesn't make sense either because, like you said, at the end of Iron Man 3, the one that they started this phase with, he destroys all of his suits. So we don't even see or hear about Tony Stark the whole time until this movie. And he has his suit at the beginning of the movie.
it doesn't explain why. He's just like, oh, I have to be an Avenger again. I
Yeah,
have to have the suits.
they kind of stick some like scenes where Pepper's like, Tony, what the? And he's like, but, you know, I had to. And it's like, I guess we're just going to do it that way. All right.
Yeah. And then
Um,
this movie was heavily advertised with Iron Man versus Hulk. That was the biggest like
oh,
advertisement for it
yeah.
ever. Hulkbuster, Iron Man
Yeah.
versus Hulk. I remember even that scene plastered everywhere. It does have a really cool opening sequence with them all storming in the it, I think it's like Ukraine, right? Am I crazy?
No, I think you're right. It kind of, yeah, I think it is. It must be. I'll look back in it, but
Yeah, because I know they have a final battle in Romania. That's where it is. Because that's when our Ultron decides to take it for some reason. But yeah,
as he does.
Ultron was such an interesting villain because a lot of the trailers it showed, like this is a big controversy on the trailers in the movie because a lot of the stuff he said in the trailers he never actually says in the movie at all.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a lot of like really cool dialogue and how he was like really like giving demanding reasons why the Avengers are bad people, why what's like their dynamic isn't helping people at all, and everything like that. Why he should be the one enforcing all this. And he mentioned a lot in the trailers, but then in the movie, he doesn't really take that aspect at all. He just skims over it. He just thinks humanity is evil because he browsed Reddit
Yeah.
once and it was like, this is enough.
Yeah, I feel like Ultron, he could have been so good. Like they got an awesome actor playing him. He was very good, but the problem is it's almost like you knew they were gonna at this point you knew they were gonna keep making Marvel movies and you knew they were gonna do another big Avengers movie. So it's almost like the movie started to feel like because that's when they were releasing the timelines. I think at this point they were like, we're gonna do this movie, this movie, this movie. So you already knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. And I mean, those timelines are always never accurate because they've always changed every time you saw them. They never actually showed you what was coming out. In
Yeah,
retrospect, looking back at it now.
yeah, they're kind of a mess now. Like they're really
Yeah,
fucked up now, actually.
yeah,
Um, So yeah, there was that movie,
yeah.
Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch first time.
I actually have so much beef with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I don't think they're portrayed well in that movie at all. Especially Quicksilver. Granted, they just like, oh shit, we need a reason for like Scarlet Witch to really turn a leaf here.
Oh my God, they got the guy who plays Kick-Ass to play him. Although, I think the Quicksilver that's in the X-Men movies is way better. I thought he was awesome.
It's crazy too because that movie came out just prior before like Avengers, right? And obviously we just got used to that Quicksilver in the
Yeah.
Sony verse, and then now we're looking at this new Quicksilver. Like, wait, what? And then he doesn't do as nearly as cool shit as he's being the X-Men one. I
No.
mean, I guess it makes sense, but the fastest man alive can't dodge a bullet, and that's how he dies. What's happening here?
Honestly, when you say it like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right. We should do the X-Men movies sometime because I feel like those somehow like peaked around this time when they were doing Days of Future Past and stuff, and they were really getting good, and then they just went totally shit to bed.
Yeah, I think X-Men movies are a totally different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Although now we're gonna have Wolverine and Deadpool, so that should be interesting. So the Phase 2 ends. Oh yeah. Also introduction of
A Vision,
Vision. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yes,
Vision.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
So
was pretty interesting. I do
yeah,
like his introduction of like he was like the first person able to like hold a hammer out
that
of
was
Thor.
cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Even like Steve Rogers like almost being able to lift it up.
Okay, that is my favorite part of the second Avengers movie.
Yeah, because that was like it took us me a while to figure out like obviously now we now have hindsight to see why he wasn't able to lift the hammer because of like his relationship with Bucky, and he thought he was keeping not he kind of knew what happened with everything with like Tony's parents and everything at
Hmm.
this point in time, and that's why he wasn't really like he was holding stuff back, and that's why he wasn't really technically worthy at this
Hmm.
point in time.
That was cool. I mean, that's the problem is there's some it's almost like somewhere in Avengers 2 there's a good movie. There's just some things they inserted into it that felt so like I know it's a big studio production, but there's parts of that movie that felt like so far removed from the other MCU movies. Like it really felt like a big production where they're like planning the future by just sticking characters in there because they can. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, the one thing with Scarlet Witch where she makes Tony Stark see those visions.
yeah, that was cool. I like.
Yeah, it was cool, but then I feel like Tony took it way too seriously and became a plot thread in some of the movies.
Oh,
Be-
we're gonna get to that in Phase 3. Um, so this phase ends with Ant Man, the first Ant Man.
So we differ on this opinion. I actually like the Ant-Man movie.
I just
Uh,
don't care, you know, about Ant Man. I love Paul Rudd. He's hilarious. Um, he gets small. Sully, you take it from here.
so I thought this was like outside of like Vision and how because they're like the most unique power we've seen in quite a while. Most of the time it's just been shooting blast based. You can shock things. We were all kind of already used to the Avengers at this point. I mean, we already kind of knew Ant Man's whole shtick beforehand. Even like people like not even like watching, you can
Yeah, the
kind of get his
name is
gist. And
self-explanatory.
it's pretty self-explanatory.
It's
Yeah,
like Batman.
I I think he had like really great like just supporting cast. My personally, because I do love like how goofy his friends are,
Oh my
and
God, yeah, they're awesome.
yeah, and I do love. I really love the last scene where he's fighting a yellow jacket on like this train. I thought that set was so great. It was like the one Marvel movie that just didn't take itself seriously.
I
Like since
agree. I've only seen it once, come to think of it. I did like the fight at the end. I mean, I like Paul Rudd. I don't not like the movie. I just, you know, it was almost like that's the end of phase two. Like phase one ended with Avengers, you know?
it is really weird how they like. I didn't even know they ended
I know
phase
that
two.
as I'm reading these, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I think we all just forgot about the order of these as they were released. That's really weird, though. It's a weird choice. But I mean, it's not a. I don't hate the movie. I've always thought it was weird that that was the end of phase two. Like, I thought it would be.
It is super weird because we are like, oh, Avengers was all right, I guess. Then we're like, we introduce Ant Man. We're like, oh, is it? That's it? That's all we're getting? This like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so phase three, 2016. First one, Captain America Civil War, which basically that was our first look at Spider-Man ever since they rebooted it for the millionth time, right?
Yeah, I think this is probably like the biggest turning point for Marvel because of how many characters they introduce and how well they do a story with heroes versus heroes. Because at this time, like Batman versus Superman was also coming out, and we can obviously tell like Batman vs Superman came out first, if I remember right, and then like, wow, this was horrible.
Yes.
What's Avengers gonna be like? Well, everyone gets worried because like, holy shit, can they even do heroes versus heroes? And that's when they are like, oh shit, we gotta do PR. We got Spider Man. He swings in the little trailer at the end.
Oh
Oh,
man, people lost their shit. That was like a pretty big deal.
that was a huge deal because he obviously since Spider Man's a Sony character, it was like I imagine it took a lot of licensing to get him onto the movie at first right away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Disney's like, listen, money.
Yeah,
We
they
all
were
want it.
like, we're ruling because at this point, the MCU movies were making like the most money, I think, at the box office. At least,
They were destroying almost everything at this point in time because
yeah,
the rise and after the end credits of how they connect to different movies at this point was really becoming more intricate. Uh, Especially with like stuff with the Infinity Stones and all stuff like that. I think what movie was it where they I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy back in Phase 2 where they show Thanos where he's like, "Oh, we failed. You know what? I think it's about time I take it on myself." He puts the Infinity Glove on and then he does nothing for like 5 6 years.
see, there was things like that that would, I don't know. At least, the funny thing is, I complained about that, but now it's like the Marvel movies are so mixed up and nobody really knows who a villain is. At least Thanos was a villain that we were all looking forward to for like 5 years before we got him and they built him up. But like, holy shit, whatever's happening right now is like such a mess. But side note, interesting thing, I remember this. Well, mostly because I'm reading Wikipedia while I'm talking to you, but it's really jogging my memory. The directors of this movie did Captain America 2. So, the Russo brothers.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because
Yeah.
even like the airport scene where it's like Black Panther, also another character introduced in this movie who's really
Oh my
cool because
god, that's right. I forgot about
he was, if I'm being perfectly honest, he was probably like the coolest character in the film. Like it might personally, I think everything he was doing was so wicked.
that. They set his character up good. They actually started his backstory there with his dad and the explosion and all that stuff made sense because Spider-Man just kind of randomly appeared. Like, could you imagine if they never put him in the trailers and people just saw that for the first time in the theater? People would have completely gone batshit.
It's weird, right? Like this is a time where like Marvel didn't really care much about secrecy in their movies as much as they did before the lead up in their last Avengers movies. But yeah, like it's a crazy thing to think about, like how they just kind of just like come watch this movie, we have Spider-Man. And they
Dude,
did.
I know. And like I like the kid they got to play him. I saw him in this movie called The Impossible. Have you seen that about the I think it's Indonesia. It's where they had the tsunami and it hits everybody. It's like the day after Christmas. True story. It's fucked. Anyways, he's
I do
great.
remember this movie. Oh my god.
It's really good. Ewan McGregor's in it and Naomi Watts. It's like
Yeah.
absolutely
Okay.
terrifying.
Sorry, my legs are going numb. Anyways.
um, so this movie was cool. I liked it. I thought it was neat. I like that they were fighting because when I was an animator, I was collecting the Civil War comic books as they came out. I had a Civil War poster on my wall, and the artist I think lived in Halifax who penciled Civil War while he was doing the comic
Oh
series.
wow,
Yeah, he did it out of Bears Lake, apparently.
that's crazy to think about.
I
Wow.
know, like that's fucked. I mean, I'm assuming that's true. Um, but yeah.
But yeah,
So I knew all about Civil War, so I was stoked that they were doing it.
yeah. I think they took their really their own original route into this one, right? Because
Mm,
they really took the aspects of all the like previous like just Avengers films and made that the plot point, which I think was a great way to going about it. Because it was like obviously like Iron Man was feeling guilty about like how destructive he's been the past few years, and Captain America was like, listen, this like that's part of collateral. Like we're actually like saving the planet. Like we shouldn't. Like obviously it's bad that we're doing this, but we have to like if it wasn't for us, these things would have go as bad as they did. And obviously Winter Soldier being a terrorist,
yeah.
that was great.
Shit got real in this movie. That's what I liked about it. That's what I liked about Captain America 2 is they grounded it, and it felt like in Captain America Civil War, it was just like they took the craziness of all the Marvel movies and they grounded back in reality to be relatable. And I really liked it. Like I thought it was awesome. Even if Spider-Man wasn't in it, like it was a really cool movie.
Yeah, because it was like it really put into perspective of like how much damage they were doing, and like damn, like this would be like an actual topic that would come up, but like if superheroes were like real,
Yeah,
like how much damage they'd be doing, and obviously like it was so weird because like at the time we're like, is Captain America really in the right for the whole movie?
yeah.
Even like because like Tony had insanely good points, like
He did,
like
and I could understand too, but that's what I think that we start to see about Tony Stark's character is that he's kind of like unraveling and becoming his own worst enemy when it comes to like mental stress and you know. But I mean, I won't go farther than that because we'll get to that in the next phase. But um,
yeah. What's the next movie, by the way?
so the next one was Doctor Strange, which actually was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Doctor Strange was actually phenomenal. I think
Yeah,
that's like one of the most trippiest
totally.
movies. I think his whole backstory and everything was so
Yeah.
still felt like a Marvel movie because of how they make their formula with it, but I didn't mind it at all
No,
because of how interesting Doctor Strange was and how the villains were. But the kind of the villains in this movie weren't really that memorable, if I'm being perfectly
I
honest.
know. I just was. You're kind of like so taken aback with how he uses his powers and like what the implications are going to be for the rest of the MCU. Like that's when you knew shit was going to start to happen with the multiverse when they started doing Doctor Strange, uh, like his story
Yeah,
unfolding.
because that's the first time they go into like a different dimension
Mm.
with and it's like one obviously one of like the most memeable things now is like Dormammu of Kunda Bargain when he like gets
Oh
killed
my
over
god, I
and over
love
and
that.
over. Yeah, and that's kind of how he became such a good sorcerer because if he's just been dying over and over and over again, and that's why he's as good as he was in future Avengers movies.
Ugh.
Spoilers.
Yeah, no, you're right. I honestly I love Doctor Strange. Like,
I did really feel because I love Mads Mikkelsen as an actor and everything he
Hey
does because I
Siri,
loved him in like Casino Royale. I loved him
remind
in
me at
Hannibal. He
8:30
was
a.m.
like one of my favorite
tomorrow
like
to
actors
send
at this time.
Petro
And then the fact they
invoices
put
like
him
I
as like one
saw
of
with
like the
the
main
Mats.
quote unquote bad guys, and he was such a wasted character in this movie.
I know he just
It
had the
felt
little tear thingies, and then
yeah.
he's dead, right? Like he doesn't come
He's
back.
that's another beef I got with Marvel movies that they kill all their villains. Like I get it, technically Marvel's perspective in villains, like how they deal with it, is much different in DC's because DC's keep their villains alive for the most part,
True.
and but Marvel they don't they don't mind killing people as like, like if we're being honest, and now, as you can see in like all the movies, like usually all the villains die. We don't really see reruns of these villains except
Not yet.
not yet.
No, I agree though. Actually, never thought of that before. But that's a good point. Okay. Flash forward 6 months. Also, we should also add. So at this point, it's 2016 in November. So The Force Awakens came out the year before that and like absolutely decimated like all the box office because The Force Awakens held the record I think for quite a while, didn't they? Of like the
I'd imagine because this was like Avengers wasn't as huge as Star Wars,
yeah
even at this point in time, despite it becoming like the MCU and whatnot. And this was like the first Star Wars movie since obviously since the prequels,
yeah.
and it was huge. And it wasn't just like a prequel; it's an actual sequel. There wasn't a single person alive who wasn't just like, "Oh my god, a new Star Wars movie."
It's true. I never
Yeah,
thought they would make it a part 7 ever. Like I was blown away that they did that. Anyways, we'll do a podcast on that because I actually like The Force Awakens. So after Doctor Strange, 6 months later, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What are your thoughts?
this I as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously the cast and how they equip carry this movie so damn hard. I don't like the story they do in this movie. It feels like, oh, this one side fact you put in this movie becomes the whole main plot point
I
of the movie.
know. It's
That's
so
what it,
stupid.
it, it felt like such a side story in the grand scheme of things. Like, are we really focusing on this?
I
Uh,
know. It was honestly, it felt like a massive waste because they did have such good luck with the first movie. Like it was such a hit, and a bunch of the actors, like nobody really knew them that well. I know Vin Diesel did Groot and everything, but like
yeah, Dave Bautista was kind of doing pretty well beforehand.
yeah, like
Right.
he's a good actor. Like he's great in Blade Runner, in 2049. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I never really liked Guardians 2 that much. I remember the when I walked to the theater being really disappointed, just because I had such high expectations for it. Um,
Yeah, because this was at a time where I was so hyped for like Guardians movie because this is a kind of the route the Guardians was going is that what I thought Thor was going to be doing in a lot of his aspects. That's why I was so disappointed with Thor: Dark World how it lands on Earth
oh my God.
because Guardians takes place in so many different planets and galaxies. That's what I thought like Thor: Dark World was going to go in, but it
Hmm.
didn't. And then Volume Two, I thought it was going to go in that direction as well. It doesn't. It goes entirely just into Star Lord's backstory. I mean, it wasn't like, ugh. I you know what I will say it's bad because I thought it was just so lame how they
Peter
built
should
up.
just be a human. I don't like that he also has to be a superhero. I don't know. I just
I actually kind of agree with you there. I think just him being like the one human out of the group just felt more empowering for a lot of the things because now he's like part alien demigod.
well, that's what I liked about. Well, I know the first one ends with him being like, "I have powers," and you're like, "All right," but it's at the very end of the movie, so it doesn't really matter that much. But in the second one, you're like, it's all about how he's part alien, and it's. I like that he was a human because you're kind of experiencing how zany it is through his eyes almost as his character. Like he gives the finger. I remember in the first trailer, and he's a dude wearing like his Walkman. I don't know.
Yeah, because he's like the most grounded character of the cast.
Yeah, like it was just really cool. Like it felt like the only normal person you could actually relate to in the Marvel movies because it's just a human, except for Black
Yeah.
Widow. But I don't understand how she can do all this shit. But anyways,
But
um,
yeah, even in this movie, there's just also something I really hated of it because they like obviously since the whole movie is about Star Lord's backstory and like Kurt Russell's his dad and his mom died of cancer, and then you find out that his dad gave her cancer. It really, I think, undermined a lot of his character. That the fact that it felt like this was all preordained and destiny to happen instead of just
yeah,
like
I
this wasn't
forgot
just
about that.
that this wasn't just an impact of like just bad circumstances that befell Quill.
Ugh.
Instead, it just felt like this was leading up to this moment instead of just things happening by chance. That's why I like a bit more instead of just I don't know. Sometimes being the chosen one is not what it is.
Dude, I just thought about this. Somebody, I don't know who, because nobody's gonna watch us, because this is just for fun for us. But like, somebody who loves these movies is gonna watch this and lose their fucking mind in like the comment section. It's gonna be hilarious.
It's just me disagreeing with
Yeah, you just make a burner account and disagree with everything that you said.
I timestamp all of it. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe you said all of this. Like
At 27 minutes and 3 seconds, Sully said some bullshit.
he
Um,
hates Ant Man. No.
Okay, so a couple months later, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Also, another movie I think we differ opinions on.
I don't
I
really like it that much. Eh, mm.
I liked the movie. I really liked how Vulture was brought up to be he felt like a natural villain in the world because of
He was cool. I like Michael Keaton.
yeah, Michael Keaton and as the Vulture was great.
Yeah,
Even like his motivations as being like a underground like weapons dealer and stealing weapons from like the Avengers, alien tech that was in New York.
that
I
was
thought
cool.
was I thought was so cool.
That was cool. That actually made a lot of sense. That was kind of like could have been its own MCU, a Disney Plus series about like the tech, them like Shield having to track it down and all that shit. Surprised they didn't do that. No, I liked the villain a lot. I remember the part where they're in the car and he's driving to the dance. He's like, "I'll kill you, I'll kill your whole family," and it's like, whoa, this guy's an awesome villain.
It also has one of my favorite scenes because, like, obviously when he's like, when Peter realizes like he's taking his daughter out to homecoming, and he's in the car and they're talking about Spider-Man and what he did in Washington, and then you can see like the dots slowly clicking in the Vulture as like red light, like that's a tick. Wait, how is he gone at this point in time when Spider-Man was there? And then as soon as like you see the green light hit, he looks at Peter and it's like they click the dot at that same line, like, oh, he's Spider Man. Like
Yeah,
it really bridged the gap right at that. I think it's such a cool scene in
that
that
is
movie
cool. I mean, hey, I'll rewatch it because now you're making me want to rewatch it.
because
I
your main thing was like with the suit, if I
uh,
remember. Yeah, yeah, with like
I
it's
don't know. Okay. So first of all, 5 second backstory. I was obsessed with Spider-Man. I made a costume. I went and cosplayed to Spider-Man 3 when it was coming out. Not the best one to cosplay to, but I made a symbiote costume and everything. I always have loved that it's just a spandex costume and there's nothing special about it. Except for his like web shooters, but like I always like that he would just fight with just a spandex costume on and he's just really strong. I always really like that. So the fact that in the MCU Spider-Man, it makes perfect sense that Tony Stark makes him the costume and the whole backstory, it fits in perfectly. But in my brain with Spider-Man, I just always have loved that about that character. And also, I think Andrew Garfield kind of got shafted. Like they really didn't give him a chance to finish his trilogy.
no, they didn't. So this is really weird. Obviously, since Spider Man's technically these movies that we're talking about, Andrew Garfield, even with Sam Raimi, are technically MCU now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, with Andrew Garfield Spider Man, like it felt really weird because obviously the second one is bad. I'm not even like it's a bad movie. Like like it has like a lot of like memorable scenes, obviously, with like Gwen
Mm.
Stacy's death that they have in it. Spoiler, anyway. um,
What?
but there was a time when they like because what was it? Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in like 2013, 2012, right?
God, I guess it did.
Yeah, because this is the time where they're like, holy shit, we have to build our own like our own Sonyverse. So
Yeah.
they tried to hammer in so many villains in
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2.
they were gonna say this. What's it called? The Sinister
Sinister
Six.
Six, yeah. And then they just fumbled the bag because they added too many elements. Same thing that happened in Spider-Man 3. Like
Ugh.
yeah, I think it's just the studios getting too in their heads about trying to make too many big things happen in
They
the
did,
future.
and like I love the Sam Raimi movies. Like, in all, if I'm being completely honest, like even though Spider-Man 3 is a total bag of fucking cats just like thrown against a tree, that makes no sense. Now when I look back on it, I actually like Spider-Man 3 because it's so bad in parts that it's good almost.
I I think Spider-Man 3 had the same thing that happened with the Star Wars prequels, where it became charming
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
why would they put Topher Grace as Venom? Like, what the hell were they thinking?
what were they thinking? And like that's
Oh
why
my
he
god.
departed from like the '80s show or
Oh
'70s show.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like he quit that to go do Spider-Man, and then obviously that fell apart, and then he couldn't go back. Oh my god.
It was a disaster. And like the problem is Spider-Man 1 and 2, the Sam Raimi ones are fucking awesome. Spider-Man 2 is still my favorite Spider-Man movie, to be perfectly honest. I love that movie with Doctor Octopus. Um
I'm a bit indifferent. I think I'm a bit I think I prefer the first one a bit more than the second one, but I
First
do
one is
love both.
great. I love them. I think for me the second one seems so much more like Evil Dead the way that it's shot. Like there's so many crazy camera shots, like the way that they show the fight scenes.
We'll get back to Spider-Man with No Way Home because I think we can encapsulate all Spider-Man in that one area.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, where were we at? What
Oh
Marvel
wait.
movie were we at?
Okay, so we're still at Homecoming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, we can go, one last thing about Homecoming before we go. They at the end credits they built up that there's going to be a team of villains to go and chase Spider-Man because of how he was going to do, and then it goes freaking nowhere.
Do they
I was,
really?
yeah, because there's a villain that's who's like advanced with like scorpions or whatever. They're like, yo, we could get a ragtag to take down this spider guy who's taking down all of our shit in New York. Because
Okay.
because those were Vulture's buddies, right? After they found out he got turned down, like, oh my god, he's gonna cut us. You know what? We could be prepared because we have our own tech. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do this, guys. And then it never happens. We don't even get to see it. Happens off screen or whatever.
Sinister Six is just never destined to happen ever.
Yeah.
And it's
Anyway,
weird because they're in Civil War. Because I don't remember what happens. I think Scorpion has the symbiote in the Civil War comics. Side note, in the Civil War comics, one of the biggest plot points is Peter reveals himself to be Spider-Man. Like that's the first issue, I think. And so the
oh
whole
wow.
world finds out because he wants them to know because he's part of the government now with Iron Man and they're like, but obviously it gets all fucked up. Anyways, it's funny that we get to Spider-Man and things just go completely off track. Clearly
Because Spider
we love
Spider
Spider-Man.
he is the greatest superhero of all time.
Yeah,
What
I
can I say?
agree. I 100% agree. Okay, so we go ahead quite a few months to Thor Ragnarok, which I think is in my top 3 favorite MCU movies, to be honest.
Yeah, this movie is great. Not only like did we get like a new, kind of revised Thor, we also get Doctor Strange in this movie.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, and I think this felt like as soon as you saw Doctor Strange a cameo in this movie, it felt like every time you see Doctor Strange, you knew shit was about to get wacky.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god, it really made you excited just to see him on screen afterwards.
He's great. And the movie, and that was early on where he shows up too, and he just kind of like puts them on their path into, um,
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I know where your father is. I just want to make sure like you guys are okay, like friendly. Like I don't know what he just showed up and started sitting down. I don't know what to do."
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that movie, I love Thor Ragnarok. The music is great. Everything is great. That was when Taika was like on top of the world. Everybody was like, he can do no wrong. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like he was just on fire making wicked shit, and everything in that movie was awesome. I don't have any complaints about anything in it.
Yeah, even like in this movie, they really excelled at what I guess the only good part about Dark World was Thor and Loki's relationship, and really excelled it in this movie. And that's what really like made it shine, I think. And even with Thor just becoming more human, I would say because a
Oh
lot
my
of the
god,
times
yeah.
because most of the time he was just like the strong buff guy, but now he's actually like you can see some of his flaws and some of his
It's
endearingness more
so
so.
funny. He became the funniest character in the MCU, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Like
Yeah.
everything about this movie just like hit all of the perfect notes. And I think that after it came out, that's one of those movies in Marvel was like, we need to make every single one of the movies like this now because
Oh
it did
yeah.
so good. Um, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. And they didn't even have the other Avengers in it. I mean, no, I know Doctor Strange showed up, but like that's
And,
it.
and there's the Hulk.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Hulk. That was so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and this is another thing, right? What you totally forget in Age of Ultron after it ends, like Hulk's not with them because I don't know what happened. Because it makes another thing about Age of Ultron. He just flies off, and nobody goes to recover him for so long, and he lands on another planet. Like what? I mean, Thor was there, right? Like,
Dude,
yeah, they just literally just let him fly out in his own for so long until Thor Ragnarok. And
it's funny because when I was just going off about how much I like Thor Ragnarok, I legit forgot Hulk was in it, and he's one of the main characters. But it's because Mark Ruffalo is so good, just as Bruce Banner in it too. When he's wearing like Tony Stark's like clothes and shit, and like
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, like it's so funny. The movie's so good.
Yeah, he's like on the verge of having a pen attack every freaking moment. He's like Bruce Banner. He's like, dude, man, I'm on an alien planet. I'm tattered clothes. I've been the Green Man for a year now. Like,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, and Tessa Thompson, she's so good in that movie. I love her as Valkyrie. Um, And Jeff Goldblum is amazing. Thor gets his eye cut out. And Loki, like basically that's the movie because you kind of see it in Thor 2 where he becomes a good guy because he actually feels bad about his mother's death. Like there's some kind of,
He's a lot more humanized in
yeah,
that
there's
aspect.
real remorse that you believe in his character. And I think after Thor Ragnarok, you're like, okay, I feel like Loki is becoming a good guy. Like he's a good guy now. Like this is cool. Um, and
Yeah,
obviously he's still going strong now.
yeah, on a news show, but also it does Thor Ragnarok has has a really sharp, great whole thing. I think the after credits and where they go afterwards, I think ruins this story in Ragnarok after
What is the after credits? I don't remember that.
Thanos shows up and just wrecks. Like that's when they just see Thanos' ship, because
Oh, right.
yeah, and then anyways, skipping to Thor Ragnarok. What's the next movie after this one? Was it just Infinity War? Am I crazy?
No, it's Black Panther.
Oh yeah, I am crazy. Yeah, yeah. Black Panther. This movie is actually really good. I just felt like the soundtrack really hyped it up more so than the actual
It's a
movie.
great soundtrack. I've listened to the soundtrack way more than I've seen the movie, and I felt bad because I know like culturally and like as far as cinema goes how important Black Panther is, but I think at that point I was so tired of watching origin movies with superheroes that I kind of was not into Black Panther. I am now, but it took me a couple of years because I was just like, all right, it's another superhero. He gets a suit. He fights the bad guy. Like, I was
Black
so
Panther
tired
was
of it.
really interesting because it's not an origin story because we saw his origin story in Civil War.
We did, but they kind of go backwards a little bit, and they show. Remember, they show his dad when he's younger, and like,
Yeah, yeah, they show like how Black Panther powers are is and
yeah,
how the
and they,
rules of Wakanda go.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought that was, which is fine. Like, honestly, like none of that stuff even bothers me now. I like Black Panther. I actually like Black Panther 2 better, which is like most
I
people
actually haven't
don't.
I haven't watched that one
I
yet.
know, I know. We're gonna have to stop at the end of phase 3 because there's a bunch of gaps we're gonna have to fill to do the next phases. Um,
Yeah. The Black Panther was really interesting because it has actually one of my favorite things with the main villain Killmonger. So Killmonger, he's a great villain. And I think he's too good of an anti-villain where he's like, damn, why isn't Wakanda doing all the things he says? Everything he says makes sense. Actually, Wakanda's the bad guys in the story, right? And the more he talks and puts his aspect on how oppressed black people were and everything, was his whole
yeah,
shtick.
and Michael B.
And then
Jordan's awesome too. I love that guy.
he was great. He's also working with Andy Serkis' character, who is also in Age of Ultron.
Oh,
Uh,
that's right. I
yeah, so
forgot
he
he
like,
was even in those.
yeah, I
He's the
know, right?
one-armed dude, right?
Yeah. And in this movie with Michael B. Jordan and everything, they kept struggling to remind people that Michael B. Jordan was a villain because he's with his girlfriend in one scene, and then he's supposed to have an anger fit, like, oh, actually, you sucked during that last encounter, and kills her. He's like, oh my god, yeah, he's a bad guy. Guys, look, he's evil. Don't side with him.
And you
It
haven't
felt.
you haven't seen Black Panther 2, right? Is what you said?
I haven't seen Black Panther 2,
Oh
no.
shit, I can't.
I do know the aspects of the story wise with Namor as a character, uh, and how Shuri uh becomes Black Panther and all that stuff. Like it isn't kind of hard to pinpoint a lot of aspects.
I feel like just from you describing it, there's a major thing that you don't know.
That's probably right
You
because
should
I've
see
literally
it.
just
We're gonna have to fill in these movies after we're done this podcast. Our mission to do the next phases, we have to actually see the gaps of movies we've missed each.
yeah. Anyways, that's my last weird thing. The
Okay,
Black Panther movie really struggled to remember that.
Black
Well,
Panther.
Killmonger.
The fight at the end was horrible. It was like major CGI
Oh,
fest.
oh my God! I actually that was a pretty bad last fight scene.
So
Especially when they're
bad.
falling from train to train.
Ugh, that was
Yeah.
like 2003 kind of CG. So after this, only a couple months later, we have Avengers: Infinity War, which basically like was incredible. That was one of the best movie experiences I've ever had in my life seeing that movie, I think.
I honestly still think to this day this is probably the best MCU movie ever. I don't know if anything will top it.
It was really, really fucking awesome.
Because I also had a great theater experience because I at the time my friend was in the hospital And because it's so funny because we were like, oh my god, a new Avengers movie, and I was because since he was stuck in the hospital all day, I was trying to like really bring his hopes up, and like you know what, like, Marvel movies are always great, right? We can go see that, and obviously the movie does not end on a good note, like at all. Kind of makes you lose
No.
faith that we, since it like ends with like everybody dying, and you're like, holy shit, we just lost. And
Yeah.
after we left the theater, we just left so quiet, and then my buddy was like, I have no hope anymore. I was like, dude, shit. And I was like, shit. Oh my god. You wanna go see like a Disney movie? Like not this. I don't know,
You're
man.
like, we'll see The Last Jedi. That'll make everything better.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I was like, damn it. It's like I didn't expect it to be so sad.
Yeah, it was really good though. Like having everybody, it was half of everyone in existence disappear.
Yeah, so the setup for this movie is obviously like with a accumulation of 10 years, like leading up to this movie, because this was geared up to have everyone, like every character built up beforehand, and maybe any new characters. But the way they did, like immediately, like Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider Man all right away, that was super cool. I thought, even like this will go back to my Thor Ragnarok point where I did really hate introductory part of this movie where because this Thor's arc in this movie I was not a fan of if I'm like in retrospect because in Thor Ragnarok it's all about like his growth as a person. He doesn't need the hammer to be the god of thunder
Hmm.
because he's much better god. And then in Infinity War he's like actually you do need a weapon. You do need a strong weapon. You're not capable of beating Thanos without this weapon.
Hmm.
And that was this whole character arc trying to get like the
Yeah, I suppose so. I never thought of it. He's just
yeah.
hilarious in it. I don't know. I just laughed the whole
Oh yeah,
time. It
yeah,
was
yeah. I do love the
ridiculous.
movie. I just think like obviously Infinity War really undermined the message of Ragnarok because they really went 180 on it.
Dude, it's kind of like that with WandaVision and Doctor Strange and the multiple. I mean, we'll get to that, but I feel the same way. It's almost like it completely undermined the entire series, and it didn't make sense. But anyway, we'll get to
But yeah,
that one. No, that the movie's amazing. I love it.
yeah. Is
It's
there yeah? What about any aspects that you remember of that you really loved in that movie?
Thor's introduction into the fight near the end of the movie was, I think, one of the best parts of any of the Marvel movies. It was just because it felt like you had X amount of movies building up to this fight, so that when Thor finally joins it, and you know how powerful he's become and his journey to get there, and he arrives with Rocket, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
It was crazy. Like, I don't know. It was better than I could have hoped for.
yeah. Because that was like the one moment in the movie where like, holy shit, the Hulk isn't enough, Iron Man isn't enough, Captain, nobody's enough, not even Vision. It felt like there's no hope there at all. And then you seen Thor arrive. You're like, please, he's our last like stand. Like he has to be the one to
And he
take down
does do
Thanos.
it, but he just doesn't kill him fast enough. He should have
And
just aimed for the head.
yeah, exactly. That one scene where he like hits him, and as soon as you see Thanos get impaled by the thing, you're like, he did it. You're just like such a sound of relief. Like right before, obviously, he does the whole snap and then wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a whole freaking game changer.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
It, he definitely has like the best introduction in the whole movie. Like,
Yeah, it was like,
100%.
and they had the Avengers theme playing for like,
Ooh.
it was just so fucking good. Like, honestly, it's one of those movies where when it's on TV or you're watching it again after a while, when you get to that part, it gives you goosebumps because it's, as Martin Scorsese says, it's cinema, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Also, ending on like such a quiet note. They don't even have music playing at all after they lost, and just slowly just fades to black into the credits.
yeah. Like, I feel like for our generation of moviegoers, that was our Empire Strikes Back ending. Like, the good guys lose. Like, Han gets frozen and taken away in carbonite. Luke gets his fucking hand cut off and finds out Darth Vader's his father. You don't know where it's gonna go after that. So
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll ever get a movie like that again. I don't know if it's gonna come close for a long time, to be honest. It could be like 30 years.
yeah, it's crazy.
Um, and
So yeah,
that, do you
what's
really
the
want
next
to know
movie?
what the next one is? It kind of goes downhill, um, in my opinion. Ant-Man 2.
Oh no, I agree with you. This movie was actually like, missed the mark.
Don't even remember it. I saw it in the theater. I know that the ghost villain is in it, right? And
So, y- y- You know what this movie had? The main villain and Ant-Man and the crew. What really pissed me off is that like there's pretty much movies like a race to get like how to figure out the quantum realm,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot what they're trying to search for in the quantum realm, but they came to an aspect where you start learning more about the main villain and his like main villains and their goals. And you
Yeah.
realize they're the same goals as Ant-Man and them. Then you're like, why are they fighting? It was just so weird. In the whole movie, it becomes intense and they fight, and you're like, but this was so unnecessary. You would have got the same goal if you guys just worked together. And then Ant-Man breaks his thing and he gets sucked into the quantum realm.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right. See, I've only seen it once. I was so disappointed. I was like, I'm never watching this
I don't
again.
even remember the villains' names. That's how much I don't remember out of it.
I know the girl from Ready Player One is in it. That's pretty much it. And they make a building small. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that definitely was a sour movie.
we go downhill even farther from here, sadly, Sully. So this is a year later. So this is a huge gap. July 6th, 2018 was Ant-Man 2. March 8th, 2019, which this is crazy. That's Captain Marvel. And they built up a lot of hype around this movie. And that movie fucking
I do
sucked.
remember that because, like, obviously the last thing you see of like Infinity War is like Captain Marvel, and you're like, holy shit, what has she been doing this whole time? And then you realize she hasn't been doing shit this whole time. She's been doing nothing. She
She's
hasn't even
off
stopped
planet,
Thanos. Oh,
Sully.
don't even get me started. Holy shit. I didn't even watch
Yeah.
this movie, but I know that she did nothing because she should have known about Infinity Stones and all this whole gap. It just made so many like plot points not even make sense.
Dude, like I said at the beginning of this, I think Brie Larson is great. And she's in good movies. She's a good actress. Sam Jackson is a great actor. He's in lots of great movies. I love his character. They fucked up his character in this movie. They got his eye scratched by a cat, and that's
Really?
why he
That's how
loses.
that's how it is? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's so stupid, dude.
You can spoil me on this movie. I'm probably
Oh,
never
you
gonna
haven't
watch it.
seen it?
No, I haven't watched this
Oh
movie at all.
shit, I'm so sorry.
I don't feel bad at all.
Okay, well, your mission now after this is to watch Captain Marvel.
Oh my
You
god.
have to do it, man.
Oh
You got to
no.
do it. I'm just gonna skip over them because I feel like Captain Marvel. They just kind of were like, we need to just
We
get
need another
them.
s- we need another strong character other than Thor in this movie.
Yeah, and she is, but she just, I don't know. I don't know. Next movie is Avengers Endgame.
This obviously this movie is like the second highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
Honestly, with like it does deserve it because of this was like the ending of like 10 years worth of work of the MCU. This technically is where a lot of people like draw the line. Like this is where MCU ended, and I can definitely 100% see that.
Oh yeah, I agree
Yeah,
too.
yeah, because even the way like this movie starts is so haunting because when you start it, it just says 5 years later. You're like, what? No way. Nothing happened. Like they don't. How did? Where are the heroes? How does this attack expecting this and like that? Because Tony was stuck in space for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
With
was really
Nebula.
cool.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was.
that was awesome. Yeah.
It definitely made you feel a sense of dread and like how could they possibly like come back from this? Because it's such a heavy loss that they Infinity War, like, and then they kill Thanos and they realize what after killing Thanos there was, well, he already destroyed the stones and he can just die. He can't turn the clock back at this point in time. It's like where do we go from here?
Yeah, like the time travel stuff. It was all like had all the fixins of a huge movie, and it was huge, and it did exactly what it needed to do, and now we have now more fucking Avengers. It sucks. It's been like almost 5 years now.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
It
And
sucks.
the ending sequence in this movie, I think, is probably like the best Avengers moment. Obviously, it's supposed to be the best Avengers moment, but just seeing like Captain America say "Avengers Assemble" with everyone there was so satisfying.
And he uses the hammer, which is really
He does use,
cool.
yeah, he used the hammer for the first time, and then him and Thor are both thrown back and forth with like his axe and his
Oh,
hammer, and
dude. And then Tony gets killed, or no, well, he doesn't get killed. He
uh,
sacrifices himself.
yeah, that was also a great moment because like, oh shit, like after he gets the stones and it's all not on his glove, he has it, then
Oh
he
man,
sacrifices
there's
himself.
always movie news like every month where they're like Robert Downey Jr. is gonna come back. I'm like, man, if they get all the original Avengers back to do something, then you'd be cooking. Then you'd have a real crazy movie happening again. But I don't know if it'll happen.
You know what I think they could do in the series, like it just even TV series, because they made the same realm as Loki, because Loki is not present day at all with everything's happening.
Mm,
Because technically Loki takes place in the first Avengers in like 2012, because that's where that Loki is from, right?
right.
They could do like a mini series of just Captain America returning all the Infinity Stones, because that's what happens at the end of the movie, right?
That is true.
He takes it upon himself to return them all himself. Like, why can't we see that? Like, why are they holding us back? I guess like they don't want to know. Like, maybe Chris Evans is too high of an actor to like get him a series like that. But like, come on, Disney. Like, if you're really running up ideas, I would love to see that. That'd be so cool.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't. I'm
'Cause
so lost about what they're doing anymore. I think they're lost too.
they are, and especially like. Well, I guess we'll continue on forward because I also have some thoughts about what they're gonna
Yeah,
be
well,
doing. What's
this is where it gets a little confusing. So, the last movie from Phase 3 is Spider-Man Far From Home. Isn't that the multiverse movie?
no, that is not this one. I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
this is the one with Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Right.
This movie, it was such an epilogue movie where they're just like dealing with like Tony Stark dying, and then obviously Spider-Man not being okay with it, not being okay with all this responsibility, being like the new like new age smart tech guy for a while, and then like Mysterio's like, "Whoa, you can just give it all to me, right? I'm a
Yeah.
hero. I'm a hero from a different dimension or sorts."
Yeah.
And then, oh my god! So I actually, I don't like the villain in this story. Like I used to like Mysterio, but the way they handle it in this movie, where he's just like an Iron Man villain, because he's the same. His villain's arc is the same as Iron Man 3, and that pissed me off.
You're right.
Oh my! Because he was like undermined by Tony Stark, and then he couldn't get his devices, everything like that. So he goes into black market to sell these illusion drones or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then he realized he can get some of Tony's tech to improve upon his stuff, and then wreak havoc and make himself look like a hero by making illusions and shit like that. And then the only really good part about this movie, I think, was not the only good part. I do like some aspects of it, but it's more so just it's in the later half of the movie with Tom Holland, how he was getting his Spider-Man with this Peter Parker. This is when he really felt he was grounding himself to be like a new, like the new main hero, because a lot of you can really feel him take responsibility against Mysterio. Because when he was fighting Mysterio was so cool, and how he like makes him like fight his demons like a
Yeah, that was cool.
undead Iron Man,
Yeah, that
and
was
then
awesome.
when he Tom Holland, well, Peter Parker gets really used to his spider sense of this aspect, because he
That's
realized
right.
he doesn't need the suit to know what he's doing with his powers and things like that. It's just an aspect of who he was.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's another thing. Like when he 3D prints off, and my camera's all fucked up here. How do I fix this? When he like 3D prints his new costume, I was like, oh come on. They're like,
Yeah,
Tony left this one machine behind, so you can 3D print your new costume on the plane ride there, which is
yeah.
fine because it's Iron Man tech. But it did. You're right though. It didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie as a whole. The
It
third
felt
one
like
really did, but
it felt like an epilogue of obviously just Tony's character more so than anything.
yeah. And honestly, there wasn't enough of Spider-Man swinging around through buildings and doing Spider-Man shit.
It wasn't really till like I think the end of the movie that it really took a lot of this aspect that I really liked about like
Yeah,
Spider-Man as a character. A lot of times, like in the start of it, you see him like swinging, but Mysterio takes control and solves it, and then the second time he swings a bit, helps a bit, the Mysterio comes in, saves the day. That's kind of how it was in the first half of the movie. This is
mm,
why I didn't really like it. It just felt obviously like it just felt like an Iron Man story more so than anything else. But
I agree, Sully.
anyways, I have. What's the next movie? I'm already heated.
That's it. We're done phase 3. We're gonna have to stop here because now we're getting into phase 4. I'll give you a preview of what the first. Do you have any guess what the first phase 4 movie is? That's how we'll end this.
Phase 4.
Mm,
First Phase 4 movie?
mm.
What is the first Phase 4 movie? Oh my god. Okay, it's Far From Home. Then. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember what movies came out during this time. Hmm.
It
Was
gets
it Black Widow?
complicated. Yeah. Well,
No!
it gets complicated because there's phase 4 movies, but there's phase 4 shows.
Oh yeah, that's when they started the TV shows and things
Yeah,
like that.
because it's kind of a huge gap because Spider-Man came out in 2019,
Does he still
and
have
the
an
next
outfit?
one was July 9th, 2021, because the pandemic totally fucked
Are
all the
you
movie
sure?
release dates up.
Are you busy? I can let you go.
Yeah, I guess that's not a fault of anybody.
Yeah, so we'll talk about some of the shows too next
I
time.
wonder if
You'll
he
have to go
wants
through the
someone
list
else's
and see if
one.
there's anything you haven't seen, because like I haven't seen the second
I
season of
know. He
Loki.
likes
I
to be
haven't
walked
seen
around.
that Nick Fury show. I haven't
Oh yeah.
seen the Marvels. I saw Miss Marvel. I actually honestly didn't mind it. But yeah, we'll reconvene for Phase 4. Well, how many
Yeah,
phases are there? Is there a Phase 5
Boring.
yet?
I think we're in phase 5 now.
Okay. Because I feel like we'll need to talk more in depth
How long has he
about
been
these
like
Phase
that
4
for?
movies because it gets so complicated. Uh, like Eternals, I haven't even seen the whole thing. I haven't even seen all of Shang-Chi either.
He might be
Actually, I
hungry.
really like Shang-Chi.
I liked what
I
I saw. I did
Yeah.
not finish it because I didn't like it. I was just
I was gonna
tired.
say Shang-Chi's weird, where I only like the first half of the movie more so than the later half.
Oh fuck.
Like you watch the good, in my opinion, the best parts of the movie.
The fight
Because
scenes are wicked.
yeah, that's where it really shines. And then I I guess we'll save it for phase 4 talk.
That's
Ah,
Phase 4 talk, baby.
spoilers, dude.
Okay, well, that concludes Phase 1, 2, and 3 for our little Marvel thing here.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot how much Marvel really like warped our minds and how everything has been going. It's
Dude,
been
like we just went through like 20 or 30 movies or something. Like that's a lot. Like we paid to see all those in the theater, I think, and like have seen them a zillion times each. Well, not all of them, but that's a huge chunk of time that we invested in all those. So I think a lot of people did.
yeah, because I was right now. Phase 3 technically ended this MCU for like so many people. And even like obviously going forward now, it just feels like a lot of side stories happen,
Oh my
especially in
god.
phase 4. Anyways, but
All of it's
just
a
felt
side story now.
it just felt like everything was like Guardians Volume 2, where nothing was really impacting the story at
Hmm.
all. Where everything else did, and you can see some aspect of like the Infinity Stones rising up. But but I do love the culmination of like how it was a celebration of like the movies, Marvel, and just
Yeah.
theater at Tricks as well. Because like you said before, like I don't know if we'll ever get like another theater experience like that ever again. It's hard. It's really hard to say, especially at this time. Like, I if Marvel really has to really step their game up to really like prep up, like but even for the 2020s, like if they really want to capture like that lightning in a bottle again, they really have to really get their footing like now more than ever, if they really want to continue the route they're going. But yeah, thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I want to do like a retrospective phase 1 to 3 after this so we can have like a long talk about the impact that all of it had on everybody and movies in general. We'll do it. We'll do a thing after this. It'll be great. Tune
Yeah,
in.
because yeah, obviously even retrospective, just what the Marvel's movies did outside of like just what they did to other movies. Like I think the impact of what Marvel did is good and bad. I think
Yeah.
like a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff that Marvel did was really good for Marvel, but it really dragged the foot of a lot of other aspects in film, which I'm not looking back fondly on as much as I
I
like to,
know.
because there's
Yeah, I agree. I'll have to make some notes for that whole thing. Uh, it'll be good though. I wanted us to just talk about Marvel because I feel like you can't not talk about it. It's just such a big elephant in the room with everything in pop culture. So,
and yeah, I know what you mean. It's still technically the most talked about thing. Um, sorry, DC, you're not really doing anything.
yeah, I mean, I tried. I mean, I just,
Yeah, it just I couldn't get into it, and
yeah, I tried. I gave it chances. I was like, although I like the new Batman, but that's a different story.
the
Have you seen
Flash
it?
movie.
No, I haven't seen that. I will not see that probably. No,
Oh, you mean like the Batman?
yeah,
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 yeah. That's just kind of like a DC side story more than anything. Same with Joker.
yeah. There's a Joker. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
Um,
but down the line, not even. We'll talk about DC a whole other
oh,
aspect.
that's like episode 154 or
Yeah,
something.
like I'm not a. I love DC characters. Superman is my favorite out of the batch, but I'm just Yeah. Anyways, that leaves our Marvel talk. Uh, we really covered a lot. Uh,
That's all.
so that's 10 years, 11 years of yeah, because 2008
2008 to 2019.
yeah, that's 11 years of culmination of films. Technically like 10 with like Endgame and all that, but
Yeah. Jesus, that's crazy.
it was a journey that
Good
that
luck with
we were
that.
able to go on that I don't know if we'll ever get to see
You know
again,
him very
which is
well.
a bit sad,
I
but
know.
it is what it is.
Somebody will do
Especially
something.
I put him to bed
especially
every
crazy
night,
that
so I'm
like
pretty good
Star
at
Wars also
finding out what's
made a
wrong
resurgence during
very
this era
quickly.
as well.
Yeah,
Like
that's a whole other thing we'll have to tackle. It's just a lot.
Okay.
It's almost stressful because you're like,
Alright.
this is supposed to be
Good
fun.
luck.
Yeah, I know,
Bye.
right? Oh my god! And now Marvel's is so convoluted where it's like you don't know. It really feels more like the actual like physical comics more than anything. It's like what should I be reading? What should I be watching to really know what's going on? Which I don't like the aspect of where it is right now. I kind of prefer where it was just like movie by movie instead of like shows and movies.
Truthfully, yeah, it kind of took away from some of the, specialness. I don't know. It, here's the thing. Listen, I like Star Wars a lot, and I like Marvel a lot, but I think the pandemic really shifted things so hard. Like, it's like shifted into a gear that we didn't even know was there so hard that the rest of the entertainment industry with shows is trying to catch up and figure out their footing because it's a mess. It is a fucking mess right now. And I don't mean that in like a negative way or a positive way. I just mean it's a mess. Like some of the shows are really good and there's a couple episodes in the middle and end of some seasons of Star Wars and MCU shows where you're like, that kind of undoes everything in just one episode of a TV show. Like, I don't know if they should have brought the caliber of the scope of movies and storytelling to a single episode. Like, not to digress completely here, but in one episode of Loki, there's just Infinity Stones in a drawer, and they just like,
It really downplayed like the whole because that was a big critical thing in season 1 of Loki. But we'll talk about a bit more of that in phase
yeah.
4.
It's like 12:30. I'm gonna die. So are you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
okay.
So that's episode 3,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Phase 1 to 3, and other aspect of movies, maybe a bit of Star Wars, but that's about it. Remember to like and subscribe to the Slush Podcast. I've been Sully, or otherwise known as Adventure Man. This is Matthew Lyons, and this has been a great pleasure. Like and subscribe, and check us out on Apple, Spotify, and I think that's all we're on right now,
We
right?
are.
We're on YouTube.
I'm working on like the Amazon one. I think there's a Google one. I don't know. There's things I didn't even know. So I'll get us on them. It'll be
We might
great.
be on Amazon. Anyways, that's it. That's all. Bye. Any
Goodbye
lasting words,
forever.
Matt?
No, let me think. Let me think. My last. No, I should have written something down before.
Bye. Love you. See you in the
Goodbye
next one.
forever.
Bye.